gracious good day to one and all once again. 'Tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico, back with you once again for episode number 131 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is September 2nd, 2020, our 167th day under COVID-19 restrictions. Let's begin with a programming note. There will be no vlog this Friday, unfortunately. We have a conflicting appointment that we must attend to, important imperial business, so we apologize for that. This is going to happen every once in a while, but don't tune in on Friday if you're going to, if you think you're going to see this vlog, because there won't be one. And also, we would like to invite you all on September 17 at 7 p.m. to join the Emperor Norton Legacy League in celebrating the 162nd anniversary of the Nortonian era, because it was that date in 1859 that we declared ourselves Emperor of the United States. It's a free event via Zoom. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're inviting you all to make Emperor Norton Sundays. You can find the recipe on the invitation on Facebook. And we're also going to ask people to talk about what we mean to them. So have something prepared. You don't have to, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, we're going to have a little round of Ask the Emperor, so you can ask us questions. Lastly, we would like to do a shout out to one of our most loyal viewers today, the Dowager. Yes, indeed, our mother. She tunes in every single day, never misses an episode. Not bad for 100. And once again, this raises the question, if we are now 202, how is the Dowager 100? Ponder that for a while. Let's begin with our national days. Today is World Coconut Day. We're not fond of coconut, to be honest, especially shredded coconut. We do like coconut water, however. So there's that. Of course, a lot of people do like coconut. It is Calendar Adjustment Day. We'll come to that later on. National Blueberry Popsicle Day. We've had a lot of popsicle days. Must have something to do with summer, we suppose. It is Bison 10 Yell Day. Say it fast. Bicentennial. It has something to do with baseball signals. We really didn't understand the explanation, but it's a day. And technically, this is VJ Day, and it seems like there's a few of those. Of course, there's the date that the Japanese surrendered at the end of World War II. This was the date the formal surrender was signed. I believe it was on the Missouri, if I remember right, but don't quote me on that. Our Florida man story, always interesting, isn't it? On this date in Florida man arrested after using wanted poster as Facebook photo. Yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? Sure. Our San Francisco story today has to do with a sad event that ultimately became a happy event here in San Francisco, because on this date in 1956, the San Francisco cable line, the Washington-Jackson line, was replaced by bus service. Now, some of that line would become the Powell-Hyde line, if I remember right. This was the last of the cable car lines to be eliminated. And we're going to, today's episode is dedicated, not designated, I guess it's that too, dedicated to the woman who saved the cable cars, Friedel Klussmann. Cable cars are truly only in San Francisco. And for that, we have Friedel Klussmann to thank. Over 70 years ago, some city leaders wanted to tear out the 1870s era transit system of wooden vehicles towed by an underground cable system, which they saw as more of a costly nuisance than a joyous marvel. Klussmann led a campaign that preserved much of the wondrous system that still draws millions of visitors from around the world each year and yes, also carries some of us commuters. We use it. Of course, cable cars are not running at the moment due to the COVID-19 restrictions, but we hope to see them back. Also forgot to mention before we get further into this article is taken from the SFMTA, Metropolitan Transit Agency website. So we thank them for that. In his annual message to the Board of Supervisors on January 27, 1947, Mayor Lampton said, quote, "I know there are strong sentimental reasons for keeping this old, ingenious, and novel mode of transportation. The fact remains that the sentimentalists do not have to pay the bills." Luckily for the cable cars and the city's fabric, Friedel Klussmann had other ideas. By 1947, the lower operational costs of buses prompted Mayor Roger Lampton to declare the city should get rid of all cable car lines as soon as possible. In response, Friedel Klussmann founded the Citizens Committee to save the cable cars. The committee began a public campaign showing the cable cars' value to San Francisco was far greater than their operational cost. They succeeded in placing an amendment on the November ballot, Measure 10. Newspapers picked up the story, and public sentiment grew quickly. Life magazine did a photo spread on the Gripman. Celebrities rallied for the cable cars. Business owners realized that tourists didn't come to San Francisco to ride the buses. Measure 10 passed in a landslide victory, and the city of San Francisco had rallied to save the Powell Street cable car system. Most of the original cable cars were destroyed by the Great Earthquake and Fire of 1906 and replaced with electric streetcars. As a result of 1954's Proposition E, which narrowly passed by voters, the 5 lines that remained were reduced to the 3 lines we know today: the Powell-Hyde line, the Powell-Mason line, and the California line. But were it not for Klussmann's intervention that reignited the people's love of cable cars and that crucial turning point in 1947, we might have lost them all. In the saga since, the preservation of our cable car lines has been enshrined in a number of ways. In 1964, the cable car system was declared a National Historic Landmark. Now, for a long time, people here said the only moving National Historic Landmark. However, the Independence in Boston Harbor is moved once a year. And then a few years ago, the streetcar named Desire in New Orleans was also designated as a National Historic Landmark. So you could say constantly moving, but then with a streetcar named Desire, that shot that out. So it is one of 3 National Historic Landmarks that move. The 3 lines continue to operate today as a testament to San Francisco voters who enshrined their survival in the age of Sputnik, the first satellite. Klussmann, who passed away in 1986, played such a legendary role in saving the endangered cable cars that Muni dedicated a cable car turntable to her. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. The Friedel Klussmann Memorial turnaround at the northern end of the Powell-Hyde line at Hyde and Beach Streets and Fisherman's Wharf was named so in 1997. We'll have a picture of it up here. So thank goodness we still have our cable cars, thanks to Friedel Klussmann. Hats off to her. In our other history today, 1666, the Great Fire of London begins at 2 a.m. in Pudding Lane. 80% of London is destroyed in the fire. 1752, remember we mentioned it was a calendar, what was it? Hang on, let me get it here. Gotta go back and see what it was. Calendar Adjustment Day. Well, that is because in 1752, the last Julian calendar day in Great Britain and British colonies, including America. To skip to the Gregorian calendar, 11 days are skipped, and the next date is actually September 14. There you go. 1789, the U.S. Treasury Department is established by Congress. 1864, Union General William Tecumseh Sherman captures and burns Atlanta during the Savannah campaign of the U.S. Civil War. Now, of course, we know that Sherman has a link to San Francisco. He was the president of the bank. Most people refer to it as Sherman's Bank. And the actual name has totally escaped us at the moment, but we'll put it down below. There's a plaque on the building. That location was also where we had our first offices in San Francisco. Yes, indeed. In 1901, then Vice President Theodore Roosevelt advises, speak softly and carry a big stick. Speak softly would do very well to be a presidential advice today. TR, talk to the guy who's there now, okay? Leave out the big stick parties. Likely to misuse it. 1944, Anne Frank is sent to Auschwitz concentration camp. 1945, Ho Chi Minh declares Vietnam independent from France. And we'll learn why later on. This is a holiday in his honor, National Day in Vietnam. The Bank of Lucas Turner and Company. William Tecumseh Sherman was the president. I knew we'd remember it, so that's why if you didn't see it down below earlier, it just popped into our head. That's sort of how we operate. On this date in 1963, Alabama Governor George Wallace stands in the doorway of Tuskegee High School, preventing its integration. 1969, the first automatic teller machine in the United States is installed in Rockville Center, New York. Now, there's something that really changed everything. 1978, George Harrison marries Olivia Arias. Happy anniversary, Olivia. Wish George was still with you. 2018, a major fire at the National Museum of Brazil in Rio de Janeiro, pardon me. I was trying to speak Spanish, I'm supposed to speak Portuguese. Rio de Janeiro destroys most of its 20 million artifacts. Births today. 1918, Martha Mitchell. You have to be of a certain age to remember her. She was the wife of Attorney General John Mitchell, who was, of course, a very important figure in the Watergate scandal, served prison time. She was a bit of a big mouth, and so they called her Moutha Mitchell. 1936, Andrew Grove, Hungarian-American pioneer in the semiconductor industry and one of the founders and CEO of Intel. 1937, Peter Ueberroth. He organized the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles and was the commissioner of baseball. 1948, Christa McAuliffe, American teacher who died in the Challenger space shuttle disaster. 1951, actor Mark Harmon. 1959, Gilles Laliberté, excuse my French, founder of Cirque du Soleil. 1964, Keanu Reeves. You know, that new Bill and Ted movie is getting great reviews. I guess we might actually have to see it. I still think they should have called it Bill and Ted's Middle-Aged Bummer. And in 19... What's that doing here? That has nothing to do with births. Sorry. That's an item for the This Day in History section. I don't know how it ended up here. In 1991, Jerry Lewis's 26 muscular dystrophy telethon raises $45 million. The only reason I put it here was to do my Jerry Lewis imitation. Nice lady! Let's see, our deaths today. We only have two. 1910, Henri Rousseau, the French post-impressionist painter. And 1969, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnamese communist revolutionary and president of North Vietnam, which is why it's a holiday today in Vietnam. We end with two quotes today. The first one, actually both about the cable cars. Quote, "The cable cars are the heart of the city, and to lose them would be a real tragedy." Friedel Klussmann. And last one, quote, "Anyone attempting to fool with the cable cars in any shape or form is apt to be run out of town on a spike." Mayor George Moscone. Yes, indeed, that is the third rail of San Francisco politics. Don't mess with the cable cars. Well, that wraps it up for this edition. Until we see you again, stay safe, stay inside, therefore, stay healthy. If you do go outside, wear a mask. Now, if you'd like to make a donation to this vlog, here's the information for that. We accept tips via Patreon for a monthly subscription or one-time donation via PayPal. We appreciate all of our wonderful donors. Also, Here's a website with more information about what the Countess and I do when we are touring, and we hope to get back to that someday soon. According to the plan released yesterday by our mayor, London Breed, they're going to open up tours again. So we are hoping to take to the streets once again. We sincerely miss it very, very, very much. Last two things. Be kind to one another. Please do it for Princess Diana, because that was one of her big things. Ours, too. A return to civility. So until we see you again, a gracious good day.